Raise your hand if this is you. You've attended a dinner or a networking meeting or gone to an event where you needed to make some connections, but you really were uncomfortable and didn't know how to start a conversation, or you didn't know what to talk about. Well, today I'm just going to give you 10 easy questions to ask, and they're kind of all over the place. They're all over the board because the situation is different for all the different places you might meet people. Obviously, these questions are not inclusive, and you can get more information by just Googling it or being more creative on your own. But I'm going to give you a few tips and a few ways that you can make connection easier if you're attending a networking meeting or some dinner or an event with work or an event with family and friends that maybe you haven't met everyone at a wedding or something like that. This one is going to be fun and super quick, so just grab your pen and paper, take some quick notes, and let's get to it. Have you ever felt held back by self-doubt, whether it's speaking up in a meeting or connecting with others or simply just believing in your own worth? Well, you're not alone. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm Heather Edwards, Master Certified Life Coach, and my goal is to empower you to step into your most authentic, confident self. Here, you're going to discover practical strategies and powerful insights to help you improve your communication, deepen those relationships, and elevate your self-esteem. And each week, I'm going to guide you through some actionable tips and mindset shifts that are specifically designed to help you break free from fear, show up boldly in every area of your life, and build crazy confidence. Are you ready to stop hiding in the shadows, playing small, and avoiding the spotlight? Grab your favorite pen and a notebook, and let's get to it. Here are 10 questions that you can use at a networking event or when you're trying to get to know someone better and build more connection. So the first of those is especially attributing a networking event or something that you're doing where you're meeting someone in a business situation. And this one is kind of fun because it's getting to know the person that you're speaking with and probing them for their expertise. People like to share about themselves. It's good to get to know someone in their business. So a good question to ask is, do you have any industry predictions that are hot right now? Is there anything going on in your industry that's changing or that's moving that people like me who don't know much about your industry might be interested in or might gain some experience from learning? And let them talk and ask them questions along the way. The one very important part about any questions that you ask is that you act as if you are Curious George. You might know that I spend a lot of time talking about Curious George, but the reason I do this is that Curious George, if you don't know, it's a cartoon from eons ago, but Curious George is a monkey and he's always just happily and in a silly way adventurous and looking for question or like kind of looking around, not looking for questions, but he's looking for answers and just being curious and silly and having fun. And when we are curious and silly and having fun, we don't take ourselves too seriously and we can learn a lot in that attitude or in that way of being. So in all of these, I encourage you to be Curious George. So the first question is, what industry prediction is hot right now? Give a person that you're speaking to the opportunity to teach you something. Second question is, what fun or engaging podcast, book, or article have you been impressed with lately? Tell me about it and why were you impressed? And of course, you're going to follow that up with, if they tell you the name, how you might actually get to that podcast or get to that book or get to that article. One of my girlfriends and I have started just trading off books because I'm like, so what have you been reading lately? And we just started giving each other the books back and forth because that's how you know if something is good, right? Sharing. And of course, sharing is caring. If you like something a lot that somebody else does, whether it's a podcast or an article or a book, that gets exposure to the book and the author or the person who's doing the podcast gets more exposure. So everybody wins. You're sharing something with a person that is across from you, and oftentimes it creates a bridge, especially if by chance you may already know about that podcast. You can share other things that you like. So think about asking a person, what fun or engaging podcast, book, or article have you been impressed with lately and why? Tell me more about it. The next question I have for you is, what is the best way for someone like me to support a business like yours? The reason I frame it like this is oftentimes when we meet people at a networking event, or if we're just getting connected with people, we may or may not want to directly refer them or give them business right away, but we need to understand more about their business and how you can support them without necessarily doing actual transactional business. You can support people in business so many other ways without actually doing a transaction. Like right now, if you're listening to this podcast, you can help me by going to the ratings and reviews and leaving a 5-star rating or review. That helps me get exposure. It drives people to traffic for my email. It helps me share my offerings with them, and it helps me gain ratings in the podcast world. So that's something really simple. If you are talking to someone, ask them, how could someone like me support a business like yours? You're not making promises, you're just asking for information, and hopefully the information they give you is something simple that you can do to help support their business. And this is going to naturally create connection. If you're helping other businesses, they're going to hopefully help you, and I fully believe in the energy of helping others, and it will come back to you even if it isn't directly linked to that particular person. The next one, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much fun are you having in your business right now? And what would make it a 10 if it's not a 10? So you can separate these questions. I like to separate them. And obviously, it's probably not the first question you're asking out of the gate, right? Now, you're not walking up to somebody at a wedding or a networking event and going, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much fun are you having in your business right now? But let's say you've met somebody a couple times and you're building a rapport and you've been around them a couple times and you're losing ground because you're like, I don't know what else to ask them. I've asked them so many things. I don't know what else to ask them. Ask them, hey, so on a scale from 1 to 10, how much fun are you having right now? After they give you their answer, ask, what would make it a 10? You're helping them think through this process of what in the world would make it more fun to do what I'm doing. And studies show that the more fun you have doing something, the more success you have. Doing something that there's lots of resistance to, you have doubts about, you're insecure about, and you're just triggered all the time, you are going to stay not focused and not in a great space. So help your fellow people that you're networking with or that you're doing business with by asking them, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much fun are you having in your business right now? Or how much fun are you having in your life right now? It doesn't have to be the exact words, but something with that twist. The next thing is you might ask, what's the best advice you've received lately? Especially if you happen to be talking about something that you both have interest in, and maybe you want to know more about it, or maybe even they want to know more about it, or you're trying to gauge where they're at on the scale of the conversation. You can just ask them, so what's the best advice you've received lately? Another question that is in this vein, but a little bit different, is there anything you want to do? You can put in your business, in your life, in your marriage, in your traveling, whatever, that you haven't done yet. And then you will follow that question up with, what would it take for you to do it? So that might look like, let's say you're talking about travel. I'm just using something general. But what if you are talking about travel and you say, so where have you wanted to go that you just haven't been to yet? Oh, you really want to go to Italy? What would it take for you to do that? It triggers them into thinking about that a little bit deeper. It could be, what in your business have you really wanted to try that you haven't tried yet? And then the follow-up is, what would it take for you to get that done? Okay? The next one is, if money were no object, what would you do with your business? Or what would you do with your life? Or what would you do in your marriage? What would you do with your kids? What would you do with your church community? You have all these different avenues that you can use this question and change it up. Don't get stuck on the words of the question. It's the idea of the question. If money was no object, what would you do with your life? that is a great question to kind of like get them thinking about what is it that is keeping me from doing what I really want to do. It's a question that with coaching, I will dig with people and kind of figure out what it is that they're not doing and why they're not doing it. And this is one of those that helps with that. And then what we do is that we kind of go into that and figure out how can we start doing what they want to do, what you want to do, without having to worry about the money part. So there are ways, whether you believe it or not, even if you don't have the money now, to start doing it a little bit at a time. The next question, when you are feeling blah, what cheers you up? What is it that you do that helps you get out of that funky blah feeling? I don't do this as much anymore. I'm not as into it as I used to be, but I used to watch Hallmark all the time to help my mind get out of a funk. It doesn't really work for me that much anymore. I prefer a little bit different avenues for getting out of a funk. But I remember at one point when I was really sad and struggling, I just would put on a Hallmark movie because everything ends with a kiss. There's not a lot of drama and my mind didn't have to get stressed out. So that was what would work for me. Now it's a little different. I'll go on a walk. Maybe I will go get in the sauna. Maybe I will watch a movie with my husband or go play with the dog, go in the garden, all kinds of different things. But what are the things that when you're feeling blah, what cheers you up? It could be coloring. It could be listening to music. It could be all kinds of different things that you can do. Go for a hike, that sort of thing. Easy question, very simple, doesn't really have to be about work. It could be, you could say, oh, when you're really struggling at work, what helps you get past that struggle? What helps you get the answers you need to get moving forward? It's the same kind of question, just framed a little differently. The next one is, again, super easy for a wedding or a networking meeting if it's more casual and you're not speaking about business. But what hobby or activity do you have that helps you recharge your batteries? Now, this one I think is very important for business as well, because one thing that I see very consistently is business owners or people who are in business. Many of the people that I talk to are burnt out. That's because they aren't spending time on hobbies or activities outside of their business. So picking a hobby or activity to do that will help you recharge your battery is so important. So if you don't have a hobby or an activity and you don't have anything that recharges your battery, go now, figure it out, and start doing a little bit of it, even if it's only 5 minutes. It's a great question to ask somebody else. It's a great way to help people find self-awareness about where they're at. And it's a great way to connect with other people and find out what their hobbies are and their activities are, whether it's pickleball or crafting or reading books or whatever it might be. The last one that I will tell you, it's just like a bonus tip, that when all else fails, compliments are always a win-win. And I don't mean walking around everybody and giving random silly compliments, but compliments can be very helpful for you. One, it can be good for you to push you to see things about people that are out of the ordinary. And then also it can be helpful for them to, when you see someone who's struggling, or maybe they're not connecting, or maybe you're having a hard time getting conversations started, to just start off with a compliment. Start off with something that is enlightening them to something that is good about them, or good about something about what they're wearing or something that they're doing. Let me give you an example about this, because there is a secret to giving compliments. When you give a compliment, make sure it's something that is a gift to them or a compliment directly to them. Not a compliment about something physically unattached to them, because it hits different, right? If you just say, that's a pretty dress, it's not as good as saying, that dress you're wearing looks so good on you. Totally different, right? It hits different. It feels different. If you're saying something like, you mentioned that your business was XYZ, that's awesome. It's a nice compliment, but it doesn't elicit any response. So what about something like this? The business you're building sounds very interesting. Tell me more. It's very simple. It just shows interest in what they're doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a compliment in the sense that, oh, you have the best business. It's just a connection point with someone who you're speaking to. So just think of the words that you're having when you have a conversation as something like currency, like money. Each person that you talk to is kind of like an individual bank, and you want to aim for leaving a balance in each bank. It might feel a little overwhelming to some of you. If you don't have money in the bank, this feels awful. But think of people like a little bitty bank and leaving currency with each of them, because people love talking about themselves. They walk away feeling so good about the conversation when they feel heard and understood. How can you gain a better understanding of someone by engaging with them? So a couple things you can do. You ask open-ended questions, not yes or no questions. Be really, really curious. That Curious George reference, I love Curious George. Dig, ask more questions, ask them why. Why is that? Or tell me more is always a simple, easy way to get people talking a little bit more. Then don't be offended or upset if someone moves on. So if you're in a networking situation, or maybe you're at a wedding, or maybe at a business dinner, if someone turns to the right and talks to someone else, or they move on at a networking meeting, it's okay. Leave politely and open-ended. And what I mean by open-ended, I mean, can't wait to see you next time, or I'll see you next time, or I'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Whatever there is to kind of close the conversation, let it be okay to move on. There's always room for more conversation later, and you just never know what's going on with someone else. They may need to talk to someone else in the room. They may be interested in something else. It doesn't really have to be about you, and typically it's not. So remember, think about just each person kind of being a little bank and wanting to leave a little bit in the bank. And what I mean by that is that your words are less. They speak more words than you do, and the more words they speak, the more money you have in the bank. It's just a little mind game, and it will just help you get more connection with other people and learn about them, because when you are connected to other people, you truly know something about them, and the next time you see them, you have something to say. It's easier to start up the conversation. It's easier to introduce them to other people that have similar interests. It's easier to get into groups or into other areas of interest with them and other people around you. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a lot of fun. Don't forget to have fun the next time you have to go to a networking meeting or a business event or even a wedding. I hope you have a great time. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It has been a blast. I would love for you to do me a huge favor and either go leave a rating or a review. And if you really love the podcast or you've learned anything at all, please pass it on to a friend or a family member that might enjoy the podcast as well. That's how I grow, and that's how I'm able to continue bringing you content. If you are interested in coaching, just go to thecrazyconfidencecoach.com. You can sign up for a free discovery call there. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you next Tuesday so we can build our crazy confidence together. Love you big.